Have you noticed that when you're ready to have success at the next level, it's like your body just stops you? Well, today's video, we're going to be talking about our visibility wound. And I know that you're going to enjoy the insights that are going to really help you to consider how can you have more success in all areas of your life. And the visibility wound is the thing that keeps on showing up when you're looking to expand at all levels and take yourself, your business, your personal and professional growth to the next level. And if you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Elika. I'm an energy strategist and a trusted advisor for successful leaders who want to have success in all areas of their life and they don't want to be prevented from doing so. So if that sounds like you, then subscribe so you can definitely be the first person to be notified of the next video that I share that's going to share these insights. And I love talking about this from the lens of human energy. So human energy, if you're new to my work, is really about how do we as energetic beings channel our energy, like our physical energy, our mental capacity, our emotional willingness, and also our spiritual connection to source, to God, whatever you want to call it, so that we can go out and serve from the highest expression of ourselves. And today's video is really because I've been really assessing where do people get stuck. And some of my most successful leaders that I work with, they just get stuck with this visibility wound. So let's start with what is this visibility wound? So, how it might show up for you is that you might find that there's an area of your business or personally where you just don't want to be visible. It can be how you price your products. Maybe you're pricing in a way that doesn't allow you to get the respect that you need for the value that you create in somebody else. A lot of the times I find that it's people not being able to show up on social media or wherever their preferred audience hangs out. And social media is one of the most obvious ways for people that I work with because a lot of my clients, they want to have a lot of freedom. And so they want to be able to access wider markets. And by using social media, that allows them to obviously access wider audiences. But it could be that you have a community and you don't show up to networking events or places and gatherings where your clients are going to be coming together. All of a sudden, there's a reason why you shouldn't turn up. Maybe you always fall sick that day or you just don't feel like it. But something is preventing you from actually being seen in the area that you do. Uh, I find that a lot of people will also use the visibility wound here by saying that they need to just do something before they're ready. That something can be another accreditation. You might need to study more, learn more, go on another course, go on another retreat, do more personal growth. And all of this is just a procrastination to stop you from being visible. So the visibility wound can show up in many ways. And the question to see here is, how do you expose yourself to more and more people? And the visibility wound is obviously where you prevent yourself from doing the thing that would show, that would make you visible, that would make your ideal clients, the people that you want to serve, see you. So there are three areas where I have seen that visibility comes from. And when we explore this, I want you to really think which one resonates with me. And this is not binary. So you may find that you kind of sit a little bit between more than one, but you have one that is the primary wound for you in how it shows up. So, firstly, I want to talk about our emotional ability to connect our visibility to a wound that we've had that's hurt us and has left us with a feeling. So the emotional side of the visibility can be where you have felt bad and felt like the biggest one that I see is where you've been rejected and you have it's left a feeling on you that's like a scar from an experience that you had maybe when you were younger, where you then were left to not feel good about the way that you showed up. And rejection is the obvious one that I see with a lot of my clients. So, I think about an experience that I had when I was in primary school. I know I've spoken about this many times in other videos where I really just wanted to be like other people. And in my school, when I grew up, I was like the only Black girl in school. And it was the obvious thing then to stand out. But I remember a specific experience where I wanted to be Mark Owen and take that. And I remember the girl that was like one of the popular girls said to me, "You can't be Mark Owen because you're Black." And I remember thinking that I had actually taken that role because I wasn't going for the lead, the popular one, which was Robbie Williams. I was actually already going for the second class. So I thought that would be acceptable. And I remember that first time where I actually thought to myself, oh my gosh, like this is my color of my skin is a reason why I can't do anything. And I felt in that scenario, a combination of shame and also rejection. Now, I also know that so many people suffer from the rejection wound because they don't fit in to what is essentially the tribe. And for me, it was always the popular people were just not the people that I was going to feel that I could just have ease and flow with. But I also know that I've spoken to many people that have had ailments or what was seen as a cognitive challenge like dyslexia or the color of their skin, or a lot of my clients are immigrants and they found that they were told that they were different and their language, or they couldn't speak a certain way, or that their food was not acceptable food when they brought their food into school. I mean, later sometimes in the workplace. And so they just got used to being rejection. I was speaking to a client the other day that went multiple years struggling to get passes in their qualifications, and they were permitted an extension, and that extension gave them one extra year to pass. And at the end of that, they screwed up. Something happened to them personally, and it affected them, and they didn't pass. And so this felt like a huge rejection from what is really the system. In this scenario, it's the education system. And so this rejection wound means that when you are wanting to make yourself visible, you know that you're going to be up for scrutiny. You know that potentially somebody can say, no, you're not good enough, or no, you can't do that, or no, you don't fit in. And because of that, a lot of us have been triggered by our previous experience, our emotional experience of that time when we felt rejected, we felt sad, we felt shamed. And so, because the body keeps the score, this familiar feeling of me putting myself out there and you judging me is what's going to come up. Now, I think about this and I think that all of us have really got these experiences that have been given to us as part of our growth. And so, we'll touch on this, but a lot of my work is allowing people to recognize that these emotional triggers inside of us, we've had to experience to connect with that. And when you have a visibility wound, what actually happens is you connect with that feeling subconsciously, but you don't actually create the awareness that this is what's happening, and therefore you can move through it. You actually just shuts down your energy. So another place where I see the visibility catching up, the visibility wound, is where we've had a success trauma. And a success trauma, I mean, this is definitely my story, but success trauma is where in being successful, it has come at an expense. So if you know my story, mine was burnout, not once, but twice. And so I remember feeling like I'm fully recovered, but something's just not letting me operate at the level that I had before. And most of the time, it was just not feeling like I had the same energy as I had before. And I could use aging, I could use so many reasons why. But I know that there was a long period of my recovery from my second burnout where it was just focused on health, predominantly my digestive health, and my bloating and gut issues that just really seemed to I can't say the word, exacerbate the feeling of fatigue. But really, when I think about it, behind a lot of that was because I had burnt out, not just the first time when I left my corporate role, when I was really going for that corporate success, but the second time in my own business. For me, that familiarity of growing and expanding professionally came with that I have to do this at the expense of my physical body. And so burnout can be a really obvious way, previous burnout can be a really obvious way where your body, which is just trying to protect you, goes, hang on a minute, no, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't put ourselves out there to be visible to so many people, because what are they going to require from us? Sometimes I see in this, a lot of my clients, their success has meant that they've now had to provide or had an expectation from people that they're going to have to provide for them. They're going to provide their resources, their money, or their time for them. And they just don't want to do it. I have a client at the moment, and it's really interesting because I know for her as a manifestor, her energy is one where she's designed to initiate. But when she therefore has had success previously, she's roped in lots of people and grown and scaled teams, because that's the kind of energy that she needs in order to use her initiation energy efficiently. She has to come up with the ideation element and then work with people that can bring that into reality. But then in managing large teams, that has felt just draining for her. And so that visibility comes from her knowing that her scalability is by connecting with lots of different people that can then take on the task and bring it into reality in physical form. So we want to look at these parts of the parts of our success wounds and success, let's say trauma, as our previous history showing up to protect us at another layer. And again, it comes back to firstly being able to recognize that when you had success previously, this was the cause, this was the wound, the experience of it. And then obviously it's easier then to start rewriting the story, which we'll come back to that. So the third one I want to talk about is about self-worth. And self-worth is really about knowing that you are worthy of all the things that can come. And in the way that I see that is, for my clients, worthy that if you are growing and expanding professionally, that you still get to have love and romance. If you are growing professionally, that you still get to have full health, right? You don't have to compromise your sleep to have success in your work. You don't have to not be present for your loved ones to grow a business. There is always a compromise and there is always sacrifices, but you can build in a way that is sustainable and realistic for the lifestyle and the desires that you have. And I definitely was someone that didn't believe that was to be true. If you see my previous videos, you will know that the belief that I held for so long was about working hard and not working smart. So that was the self-worth part of me that didn't believe that when I was in the corporate world that I could be recognized for my individual skills and talents and the way that I converse with my clients and the way that I consult them. That was good enough. And if I focused in my training and the support that I needed to do more of that, then I could achieve more success. So what I did was I worked longer hours and I used time and therefore my body as a way to prove that I was worthy of being successful. And really, the self-worth in that scenario would have been, okay, no, I've got skills, I've got qualities, I've got a desire, I've got the ability. Let me continue to get support to work more of that. And not let me show you that I'm working really hard by working longer hours, and therefore you'll see that I'm worthy of having this position or having this job. Or I would probably say that in the latter years was being promoted to the next level and the next level and the next level. And so then when I think about my second burnout, when my second burnout happened in running my own businesses, multiple businesses, my coaching and the restaurant, then I really think then that I didn't feel that I was worthy of people helping me. So there was always, and I know for myself, that theme of never feeling like everybody is here to help and support you. So what happens is you just, it's a typical high achiever mentality of everybody is here, but they can't do it to my standards. And so I must just do it myself. And when you're worthy, you can actually recognize that everybody's different to you. They all have different skills and qualities. you recognize your skill and what you bring, and therefore your worthiness. And you recognize that by asking other people for support, they have different skills and qualities. They're not the same as yours, but they're worthy because you're worthy. And so, really, this is mirroring back that notion that unless you kind of feel worthy in yourself, you can't look at another individual and see that they're worthy, even if they don't have the same skills as you. And so, therefore, in my scenario, that delegation and that trusting other people to support me, I just didn't have that. And so, there was that part about the self-worth that didn't believe that I was worthy of getting the support. So, recognize, where does self-worth show up for you? Is it that you don't recognize that your skills, your talents, your experience are still recognized? I have so many clients that, especially those that come in the coaching or the consulting remit to me, and they've had a lot of success in their corporate careers. They feel like when they're talking about things that they're super passionate about, that other people have spoken about that before. And I remember saying to a client that I don't know anybody with the mix of your culture and race that works in your industry, that is female, that's had the success that you've had, and that's built it in the way that you've built. I don't know anybody that's had it that way. I know many people in your industry, many people of your race, many people of your ethnic background, many people of your gender, but not with that combination. So when you are speaking about things through that lens, that's really unique to me. And that was that worthiness piece. And I find this happens so much with my projector clients. I have a lot of projector clients, and projector clients naturally, for me, they are the definition of success, and they don't recognize that it could be that easy, because they look around them and like 70% of the population are generators or generator types that are working really hard and focused and building and creating with a lot of physical prowess, and they don't need to do that, and they subconsciously are recognizing that they don't need to do that and that there's a more efficient way, but they don't believe that it could be that easy for them. So let's move into this kind of element of your own way of being visible, and how, therefore, that your visibility wound is actually a brilliant thing for you, because it's a way of allowing you to see your unique way of having success in all areas of your life. So what this would look like is, I want to bring to you the element of human design, because I think it's the most powerful way that I can explain to you how every wound that you have is really allowing you to grow and expand in the way that you will have your success. So I was using the example of projectors, and so they have to be invited as their strategy in human design to feel that recognition. So if you are a projector and you know your human design, you're a projector, and you know that you've have felt that, oh my God, they really recognize me as the person that could be good for this, you know that that symbolizes the energy that you need to experience to do more of that. And that means that you can focus your energy more intentionally of doing that element that is bringing you that recognition. You can show up more in that place and have more visibility from the places that you feel recognized. Whereas if you try to be visible and you sense that they don't recognize your skills or your experience there, it's probably because you've missed that part of you that's the invitation, the subtle energy of being requested, even if that is not verbally, but it could be energetically, but invited into a space or into an environment where your skill set is needed. And obviously, if you're not a projector, there are many ways through in human design where, by just following our strategy, so my strategy as a 4/6 generator is to respond to my outside environment. So if that means something shows up in my environment, and then I'm using my inner authority, which is the way that I make decisions, to feel drawn towards it. And from there, that's where I get that feeling of, this is it. And this is where I need to do more of it. And I feel that myself. And just when I think about doing videos, there are some days when I'm doing videos and I'm like, do I need to do the video today because I need the video to be done? Or because I've just really, really got this thing that I know I want to talk about? As long as it's that, oh, I've really got this thing that I know I want to talk about, then it always feels good. And so that visibility for me is easier to flow with because it's coming intrinsically from what I'm drawn towards. And that is my own individual version of success. I also want to talk about, we talked about self-worth. In human design, self-worth sits in the identity center. So this part of it, it's part of the heart center, is our self-worth. It's coded with the I am. So anything that you are saying I am, and that follows I am, you really want to recognize, what are you saying about yourself there. So I always, when I have clients that I can tell that they have self-worth issues, I ask them to start auditing, where are you using I am, and how are you using it? So are you saying, "Oh, I'm not really good at that. Oh, I'm not an expert in that. I don't think you." These are, you just being mindful of just challenging yourself when you catch yourself saying, "I'm not an expert at that. Oh, I'm not good at that." Catch yourself and say, "Well, actually, I can't say I'm not good at it, but what I can say is I want to develop further in that area so I can master that more." So at first, it's like a muscle. You can still allow yourself to say, "I'm not," or "I am something that maybe more on the negative," but you've got to catch yourself doing it so that you can rewire and shift that story to a story that's not so limiting. And this can expand your self-worth because now you're coding directly your own energy center with higher frequencies. And that higher frequency, therefore, is going to expand and grow you. So catch yourself with that, and that's using the energy center of the heart center. Now, remember that if somebody in human design has that energy center on your human design chart, you'll see it colored in. That means you have consistent access to the flow of energy that allows you to feel worthy. Whereas when that's an open center, I know I have it open, you are very good at being a chameleon, and therefore being what everybody wants you to be. But you have to really, really allow yourself to recalibrate to your own energy by clearing out that center. And I have videos, and you look at my human design videos that I talk about that. But one of the beautiful ways is by spending a lot of time in nature or by yourself, so you can really sense your own identity. But you want to really clear out that energy center so that you can recognize, is this how I recognize my own identity, or am I trying to shape myself to be the identity of what somebody else wants me to be? So those of us with open centers, heart centers in human design, that bit of self-worth tends to be required as part of our inner work journey. And I know I find that in my clients, I do a lot more work with the projectors on that than I do with any other type in human design. But I think if you have an open center, you better recognize that there's going to be some conditioning in that center. Yeah. And then I think, when we think about our human design as well, it's also about knowing that in human design, you have your pathway for what your energy is designed to do in the world through either your communication, what you're here to communicate, and we see that in the throat chakra, what I call it the Merkaba channel, but also like the incarnation cross. It is guiding you towards how your energy is intentionally designed to be used. And so I personally like to keep on rereading my incarnation cross and see that as my North Star to guide my energy. And then, with the coaching work that I've done, I've always made sure that I'm recalibrating myself to that. So, for example, a big part of mine is to really deeply penetrate people through speaking messages of the truth. And so I really do that through not censoring myself when I know I'm saying something that can be triggering or challenging. But just making sure that I'm sat within my heart and I'm really feeling the feeling of how that can be expressed from the highest way. So I think, when you're very clear on what your energy is designed to do, that in itself is going to allow you to be more visible, because what you're really doing here is you're making sure that your visibility is not separate to who you are. You are so clear in the things that bring you joy, the things that expand, and the things that make a difference and an impact, that it's now who you are to be visible. And so that's what I really want to end with today. And I really want to invite you to ask yourself, where could I be more visible? and journal on it, write it down, or just pause the video and just sit with this. Where could I be more visible? And then ask yourself, what are the ways that I stop myself from being visible? And then the last part of this would be, what has been my previous experience that has influenced my visibility? Because I think this wound is so powerful. When you put light on it, you make it more aware in your mind that that you're preventing your own growth. And when you do that, you will see that every single time that that visibility shows up, there's a part of you now that can get stronger and stronger at recognizing why you're stopping yourself from being exposed and therefore growing professionally with a lot more awareness. When you have a lot more awareness, you can see a lot more change. And when you see change, you can see what I know so many of you want, which is to have success in all areas of your life. So I would love to hear your feedback on today's video and your comments on what resonated with you. Which one of these do you think is the one that you want to work with the most? Like, which area for you? Is it the emotional side? Is it maybe the wound of rejection? Is it your success trauma? Like my success trauma was burnout. Like, is it your self-worth? Which one is showing up for you? And just anything that, you know, it has been really holding you back that you want to put a line under and just say, okay, I'm just going to go forward with this. So leave me your thoughts in the comments below. And I always say to you that the best place for you to learn about how you can really optimize your energy, your most valuable currency, so that you can start to see that it's okay to grow and expand and have success in all areas of your life, is through my newsletter, because I feel I'm the most vulnerable there, and I share the lifestyle, the habits, and the hacks that I think are really required to live this more intentional way and using our energy so much more efficiently. So I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed sharing it with you. If you have and it's brought you some value, do give it a like so that more people can be on this journey with us in terms of optimizing our energy, really creating impact, and knowing that we can have success in all areas if we do it intentionally. And till then, I will see you then on the next one. Take care.